Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the moderator of the next session, Megan Gittoes.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Since the start of the full-scale invasion, nearly 20,000 children have been forcibly transferred or deported by the Russian Federation. These children have their documents erased. They are enthralled into a sprawling network of militarization and youth camps. So it gives us great pleasure to welcome Daria Zarivna to the stage, who is President and CEO of the Bring the Kids Back UA initiative.
Hello, Megan. Thanks a lot.
Do you want
for
to
having
say a few words to start with, and then I'll fire some questions at you?
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for bringing this question into the spotlight. Thanks a lot for raising it in this agenda. I think it's extremely important, especially in regard to the ongoing peace talks. And I think it's also the right place to perhaps brief you a bit on what happened in regard of the children issue. During the recent meeting of Russian and Ukrainian delegation in Istanbul, I can just give you a few details. So during the recent meeting in Istanbul, Ukrainian delegation has passed to Russia the list of Ukrainian children. Very important detail. This is not the full list. It's a list of 339 children, which is a part of confidence-building measures as a part of humanitarian dimension of negotiations regarding the 30 days unconditional ceasefire, which is being discussed in Istanbul. And this confidence-building measures is like a limited, very specific actions which aims to build trust and give an opportunity the Russians to show their good faith, their goodwill, and if they are willing to return children, they can return at least some of them, at least some part of this list, which was also emphasized by the head of Ukrainian delegation, our Minister of Defense, Rustem Umerov, at the press conference just after this meeting. So just wanted to brief you on that because I think this is important part, important stage in the process. So right now we are waiting for the response from Russian delegation. The ball is on their side, and they have this list, very limited. It's not the whole list, not the whole 19,546 reports on the children who were illegally deported or forcibly transferred, not the full list, but just a small part. And if they are willing to return them, they can do it immediately.
So we know there are enormous gaps in international law on this issue. What legal mechanisms are required to facilitate the return of these children?
So I represent here Bring Kids Back UA. This is an initiative which was launched by President Zelensky in 2023 as a response to this threat, to the scale of this issue. And the key idea of the Bring Kids Back UA from the very beginning was that it unites in efforts of Ukrainian government, Ukrainian civil society. We work closely with NGOs, and this is very important part of our work, and international partners. So as a part of the Bring Kids Back UA infrastructure, we managed to build a few mechanisms. The first one is the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children, which brings together more than 40 countries and international organizations, and Bring Kids Back UA Task Force, which unites legal experts, human rights defenders, international lawyers. We work proactively on developing the internationally recognized legal mechanism on returning all children back home, and also on strengthening the international legal framework using Ukraine as a case study. Because I always repeat, it's not only about Ukraine. It's also about the global security, about the European security, and I want to thank you especially for the report, which I've just had an opportunity to briefly look through. It's an amazing job, very detailed, very tailored, and I think that very significant part of this report, just want to show you, is the militarization part. And I'm not sure that today we have enough time to discuss it, but what Russians are doing with Ukrainian children, weaponizing them and turning them into the weapon against their own people, against the Ukrainian army, this is a big threat, which I think is underestimated, because this is a threat also to European security.
Of course, yeah. 1.6 million children currently reside in occupied territory. Do you have a warning for Europe on this, as they're actively being prepared for future warfare?
Absolutely. They've been actively prepared for the future war. And Russians spent lots of time and efforts and money for preparing them. Right now, they're holding the whole Russian military simulation war gaming, which is called Zarivna 2.0. And it is spread on the Russian territories and the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. And this game is being played in schools, in kindergartens, and each child has an opportunity to change the role for himself or herself. And the roles are drone operator, propagandist, ideological instructor, soldier, or even the representative of cyber warfare. So again, you know, it doesn't look that Russia is willing to stop the war. It looks that they are preparing for the long-term war, and they are spending lots of efforts preparing the whole population from the kindergarten to schools and to teenagers. Of course, I think you've mentioned here UNARMIA, this organization which brainwashes young Ukrainians also on temporarily occupied territories. You know, it's a famous story of two boys, Dmitro Kotov and Ivan Shifman. They were at their teen age when Russia came in 2014 to Crimea and to Donbas region, and both of these boys, they were taken to UNARMIA, brainwashed there, indoctrinized, militarized, and they both were killed at the start of full-scale invasion, fighting against their own army. I think this is...
Thank you. I know I slipped that question in there because you mentioned militarization. I want to bring it back to the Bring Kids Back UA initiative. How are you addressing the psychological damage that is happening to children when they are returned?
Reintegration and rehabilitation is a very important part. It's not an afterthought. It's a core pillar of Bring Kids Back UA. And these two parts of our work, the work that we've been doing, are equally important to return children and to reintegrate and rehabilitate them afterwards. So when the president was preparing this initiative for launching, he said that we can launch it only when we will be fully ready for 100%, that we will be able to support and to support all the children who will be returned with a proper reintegration program. So that was principle for us. Also, it's very principle that all the children who've been returned, they are placed into the family-based care. Each child who returns gets a special case manager who supports him from the very first day until the whole process. And of course, it's also about multidisciplinary approach, and it's also about working closely with his family, with foster, with integration into the local communities. This is also very important. In general, when we speak about these children, of course, they return being deeply traumatized. And I spoke to psychologists who work with them, and they work with children with different various types of trauma. And how they describe specifically these children as abnormally obedient, very submissive. I think that there are lots of parents here in this hall, and you know how extremely difficult it is sometimes to take away the gadgets, smartphone or iPad from our children. And these children, at the end of the day, they give away all the gadgets when being asked to do so easily and immediately, because their will was broken when they were there in deportation or forcibly transferred. And one of the girls, she was nodding all the time. And I remember the story of Ilya from Mariupol. He told me, I was forbidden to call myself Ukrainian. And Russians told me that you cannot say glory to Ukraine anymore, but you can say glory to Ukraine as a part of Russia. Children are prohibited to use Ukrainian language, to speak about Ukraine. When they return, they also ask such painful questions like, will somebody love me here? Or can I call myself Ukrainian right now? It's also very famous story of Alexander Yakushenko, who was adopted in the family in the Krasnodar region, and he felt so miserable there that he committed suicide. And in the voice message which he sent to his friends before he did that, he said, I feel that nobody needs me here, so I just don't want to cause difficulties for anyone. And this is the story which we've managed to know, to discover, to know about. But we can only imagine how many stories we don't know. And what is the biggest challenge about that? Russia does not give any access to any information, neither to us, neither to any international organizations. No, nothing, to UN, to ICRC, to OSCE, so they do not cooperate at all. And this is why sometimes, I've been asked about figures, about numbers. Okay, we have this 19,546 reports on deported children. But Maria Lvova-Belova, for example, she, back to summer of 2022, she reported that Russia has accepted 744,000 Ukrainian children after the after the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Putin and Maria Lvova-Belova. They stopped using any figures publicly. But we do not know the real scale of this problem, and this is why sometimes, when you've been asked about numbers, they are very different. 1.6 million Ukrainian children. This number includes the children who've been deported, forcibly transferred, but also the ones who are simply living at the temporarily occupied territories. But they are also under the constant threat because they have been brainwashed and indoctrinized every day through different tools used by Russia.
Thank you. Are there any challenges when it comes to repatriation?
Well, again, the biggest challenge here, and I want to emphasize what the international community also can do. The biggest challenge here, first of all, is absence of any information, of any access. And I think that this question should be raised by governments in bilateral or multilateral engagements with Russia on various platforms. And I think that you will all agree with me that Russia understands only the language of power, the language of strength. So when you are sitting at the negotiations table with Russia and using all the leverage which you have, only then you can get this feeling, now we are talking. And when it comes to the children, of course, children cannot be used as a bargaining chips. They cannot be traded or exchanged to territories, objects, or political concessions. But at the same time, they definitely should be the part of negotiations, and we cannot lose this momentum, and we should use all the leverage we have against Russia. And we have sanctions, we have frozen assets, we have military assistance to Ukraine, we have political pressure, diplomatic pressure. Even now, sometimes I've been asked, okay, but is it possible at all, technically, to make them return these children? Well, I believe that if we will have lots of countries who will be raising this question and will be pressuring them, using the leverage, yes, it is, yes, it's possible. It's complicated, but it is possible. We have two operational pathways to return these children. The first one is mediation. You know that we have countries like Qatar, South Africa, and Holy See who help us to return through engaging third parties. The second one are rescue missions. Rescue missions is what we do in the close collaboration with civil society, with NGO, but each rescue mission is always, it's like a special operation. You can never, sometimes I've been asked, can you please describe how do you do rescue missions? It's impossible because it's always customized. But again, we should continue using these two operational pathways. We should expand the circle of countries, mediators, but at the same time, meanwhile, we should also raise this question during the negotiations. And I must say that during our meeting in Jeddah with American delegation on 11th of March this year, this also was a question where we were aligned and where we were definitely on the same page about it.
Thank you. I want to give you an opportunity just for any final thoughts.
Sorry?
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Sometimes I've been asked, what can I do? How can I help? I think that what happened to bring kids back UA, and I think this is the best thing which could happen to the political initiative. During these 2 years, it transformed from the political initiative of President Zelensky to the global movement, which unites politicians, diplomats, human rights defenders, international lawyers, opinion leaders, celebrities, sportsmen, and so on. So each one of us can do something. If you want to work with a legal mechanism and help us with legal support, please join the Bring Kids Back UA task force. If you are a journalist, please spread the word, raise the awareness. Write the article. We need it. We have tons of stories, and please, we are ready to share these stories. This is extremely important to tell it through the personal angle. If you are a filmmaker, please do a documentary. Recently, we arranged the presentation of the movie, which is called After the Rain, very deep and touching movie about the Ukrainian children who returned from deportation and about this reintegration process. It is so interesting to look how they transform and how reintegration works. And if you're a part of government or you're citizens of your country, please engage your governments to support and advocate this issue and to put more additional pressure on Russia. Everyone can do something, and we all can be engaged, and I think that advocacy works, and pressure creates awareness. And raising awareness is something that each and one of us can do.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please join me in thanking Daria. No one leave your seats, because in just a couple of moments we will be talking about America First but Not Alone, collective defence in the Euro-Atlantic and Indo-Pacific. So don't go anywhere, we'll be back soon.